Alright guys, Papa Pepper back once again at the Abundant Harvest Homestead. We're trying to figure out life. And we're trying to live life in the most cost-effective, reasonable way possible. Now what that includes a lot of thinking outside of the box, a lot of returning to the way that things used to be done. A lot of what they call progress these days is pretty lame. When you really think about some of the things that they consider to be very progressive, it's really dumb in the end. And what we're trying to do is just return to a simple, peaceful life upon this world, upon this planet, where we can live together as a family and be free to be together as a family. But I'll tell you what, if my wife and I go out and get some educations we can't afford, some cars we can't afford, some houses we can't afford, buy a bunch of stuff on our credit cards we can't afford, sign ourselves up for, 5-6 digits worth of debt, and live that life, we're not going to live life together as a family, and we're not going to live a very cost-effective life. So right here, I'm in a mobile home I paid $14,000 for. Thankfully, amazingly, praise the Lord, we were able to pay cash for that. We have it on some land that we also paid cash for. So we own our land as much as anyone owns anything here, and we own our house that we live in. We have no rent, we have no mortgage, and I may not even end up paying property tax, okay? Those are three great things that are going to work out in our advantage. I'm sitting here in front of my oven right now, and I'm actually cooking rocks. Now, the cool thing, too, is I'm at a stage in my life where when I say cooking rocks, it means just that. It's not even slang for anything, guys. A lot's changed in my life over the years, but we're going to be switching over to using wood heat primarily. When I bought this mobile home, it was hooked up for propane, which means the water heater, the stove in the oven, and the heat all run off of propane. I don't grow my own propane here. We don't raise our own propane. We don't butcher our own propane. We don't do any of that. So what we're trying to do is find things that we can use and we can do that make sense for us. We have trees here. They're going to keep growing here. You cut them down, they grow back, okay? It's not a murder of things. It's not a horrible thing. It's what happens. A forest can be deforested and it can grow right back, and if you choose wisely as you head through, you can just have a renewable resource that you never run out of. So if you notice here, I've got some pretty cool fake rock that this place also came with. As I'm going to put in this wood stove, I'm thinking of using some real rock that looks a lot like our fake rock to make a platform and a wall cover. So that way we've got a mass that can get heated up. We're going to have some cement board behind it, and then a space, probably with some more cement board. And this will be able to be heated up. They'll be able to have air get sucked up from the bottom and send out the top into the room. And it'll be able to, float around in our house and be warmer than it was. And just kind of find some ways to make this place warm in the winter, which is far less of a winter than we're used to back in Wisconsin. That was part of the move too, part of trying to think of how to do things cost effectively. But in order to do that, I got to make sure that if I make something really nice, a backdrop out of stone and cement for my project, that this can actually withstand the heat. Now, using a wood stove, those things will get over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit on the inside. To the touch, they can be like 400 degrees or more. If you're used to using an oven, you're really usually in that 350 to 450 range when you're cooking anything. So 400 degrees is pretty hot. Now, we're not cooking, fire inside here. We're just going to have these around it, probably at least a foot away, probably in a lot of the cases, even from the bottom. So what I wanted to do is to make sure that if I heated up some of these rocks, we'd be able to still use them without having them like blow up or break down. These come from the creek. They get washed down the creek. They're about 1 inch thick. They're in a variety of shapes and sizes, but the diameter is pretty consistent, and the look is pretty consistent. I've got a number of them in here, and I've had these in here for at least 2 or 3 hours. At first at 200 degrees and then at 250 degrees. If I touch them, it's, in a second, I know it's hotter than I ever want to touch. I don't think there's any way hanging out next to our wood stove that these are ever going to get that hot. But if you look at them, they're doing just fine. So far, nothing has happened. Again, if I touch them, that's about all the touching I really want to do. That's pretty hot, 250 degrees. They're heated up good. They seem to be able to withstand the heat pretty well. They look about the same as this one. So at the moment, as far as cooking these rocks, doing this test, I say it's a success. I'm going to be comfortable using these. I just wanted to make sure to do a test first so that I didn't get myself in a situation where I took a bunch of these free rocks. Okay, people buy stuff like this. I can get them for free. And if I pick them all out of the creek, next time it rains, a whole bunch more will get washed down anyway. But I didn't want to put all the time and effort into using these, making something look really nice, putting the stove on it, heating it up, and having them all just crack and shatter and be destroyed. To me, they're holding up just fine. I'll probably let them cool too and make sure they don't crack, and just shut the oven off and then check on them in the morning, add that to this video before I publish it. And if they can heat up to 250 degrees and cool back down to regular ambient temperature, 70 degrees or so, I'm going to be completely fine with using them for the project. And we'll have one more thing kind of in our arsenal, you know, one more resource ready and secured for our project. And that's exciting for us. We'll see what happens. I'll see you guys in the morning. So, oops, I was working outside. We waited like a day, and the rocks cooled off. They seem to be no worse for wear. No particles or anything. They look nice. They're solid. I've got some padding anyway. But we're going to call that a success. And darling, we got to decide where to put that wood stove?
Do we know where we're going to put it yet?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. We're going to figure out where we're going to put that. We've got a couple options. But we're thinking inside the house, right?
Yes.
Yes, inside the house. Hot dog. Hot stove. Alright guys, pop out.